when you start drinking, the topmost part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, ile inafaa ku make decisions, inakumess. So inakuwa messed up. So you are not thinking straight. We say addiction is a progressive disease, but for me it was so quick. I don't even know how big or how severe the underlying issues zilikuwa. So by the grace of God, I was able to complete campus. The Safaricom job came later, and with more money, Jay-Z alisema with more money comes more problems. If you are there and maybe you are struggling with an addiction, any form of addiction, whether it's alcohol, whether it's weed, whether it's mogoka, whether it's even gambling. Hata sometimes you have 10,000 in your account, lakini hauwezi weka. Usikuwe in denial. Kama imefika hapo ati mpaka lazima ufiche kapombe hapa asubuhi, umeanza kuficha kapombe kwa cistern, kwa choo, umeanza kuficha kapombe mpaka kwa ceiling ati mama asione ama your husband asione. At that point, sasa tuko in addiction. You require help. And we are back. Chris Kemaro here, recovering alcoholic, addiction counselor, sober 8 years and happy to be sober. Nakwambia, being in addiction is not the easiest thing. 17 years I struggled, and that's why I'm here. I'm sober, and I want everyone who is struggling with any addiction also to feel the joy and the peace that comes with sobriety. Na saa hizo tuko town Eldoret, na tumetoka post office kutoa pesa, tuko na help. How? Hata tulikuwa tunakunywa Tusker. Ati 250. Mimi naweza jaribu. What I didn't know was that now I was getting into prostitution, another forbidden fruit. So the first experience was just like with the alcohol for me. And it was a bit embarrassing. I like telling this story because I know very many people have passed through this. So for me, naingia kwa room, naingia by the way, brothels zinakuwa na reception. Kuna kuwa na mama mzee. By the way, kwa nini wanaekanga mama mzee kwa brothel akiwa kwa reception? Inakufanyanga ufeel guilty. By the way, brothel owners change that. So mama mzee anakuuliza, kijana unataka? Nimeambiwa naweza saidika. So my friend hapa akasema anataka mtu. So tuliza, so nitalipa nini? Unalipa 250, alafu sijui 40 bob, 30 bob ya condom. So alafu unaambiwa ni wale, enda uchague. Wamepanga line pale kama mbuzi, you know, like a goat market. Nikasikia, you remember I was an altar boy. I told you I was an altar boy. Lakini pombe sasa, when you start drinking, the topmost part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, ile inafaa ku make decisions, inakumess. So inakuwa messed up. So you are not thinking straight. So hapa ni kuenda unaangalia, alafu tuko Eldoret, so ni wakale, so wako mixed up na Wakisii, Wakikuyu wengi. So mimi nikasema tu huyu. I think niliangalia yule nilikuwa naona hajakula hiyo siku. Pengine ili nimsaidie. You know, I'm a sympathetic person. I'm a kind person. I'm kind-hearted. So hata even when I was doing my prostitution, I was very kind-hearted. Hata ningeenda nipate wako watatu, niseme nitachukua huyu, lakini nyinyi chukueni 500 because hatujaenda na nyinyi, acha niende na huyu leo. Wewe kesho, make sure ni time kwanza. Yeah. That's how I used to be, and I was very kind. So mimi kwenda, the conversation was very awkward. So namwambia, so sasa tufanye nini? Si ndio hii pesa. Anambia, si umalize. By the time namwambia asha skati iko chini nini. Okay. So that's how it happened. Don't go into details. Usiende kwa details sana. It happened, and the dopamine surge. Nilitoka hapo kama nasikia kama na fly. I was like, 250. Wow. Nikarudi pale kwa pombe, nikachapa glasi ingine, and I was like, wow. Nikaambia my friend yangu, hiyo 250 sasa ni hivyo. You know, I felt like ni kama mtoi ameingia kwa candy shop, you know, amekula candy it was good. What I didn't know was that now my brain, the threshold ya dopamine to be released ilikuwa so high because of the alcohol. Now sex with the prostitute ili raise the dopamine, and I felt like wow, that was hey, si kukunywa nikauliza beshte yangu sasa, alikuwa na experience, sasa nikirudi tena sasa ataweza itikia? Nikaambiwa hata ukirudi mara 10 hata unaweza chukua mwingine. Ala, so kukunywa hivi, unajua the more you drink the more messed up your executive functions in the brain zinakuwa messed up. So that's why unaonanga watu wakiingia kwa bar wanakuanga wamekaa holy, hata hawaongei na barmaid. Hata barmaid akiwaletea anaambia hebu panguza hii nini glass vizuri, and then after 1 hour 2 hours ya kukunywa, the same barmaid mwenye alikuwa anaongeleshwa vibaya ndiye anaambiwa, guy Wairimu, Shiro, you know, you're a good girl. What do hana get to me? You are not like my wife. You are a good woman. Unakunywa ni Guinness. Pewa 2. Let's say unashindwa. See, this is the same woman ulikuwa unaambia hata usimkaribie na hiyo marashi yake. Sasa is the same thing with alcohol. It was the same situation for me. I got so messed up. I went back there and it was good again. And from that point, 2003, oh God, I discovered Ludhuli. Kudiscover Ludhuli Avenue was the worst thing for me. Remember, we are still talking about, unakumbuka pale tulitoka? Experimentation. Sa hizi tume-experiment wapi? Green Lodge. Kwa inaitwa Green Lodge something in Eldoret. Nime-experiment sasa. Pombe already nili-experiment na nika-graduate. I think by that time, sasa mimi nilikuwa dependent on, I was getting to the point of dependent with alcohol. Sasa hii nayo ya sex, prostitution, nime-experiment kwa brothel and it felt good. Nimeenda Ludhuli, sasa nimepata kuna varieties. You know, in Ludhuli that time, hakukuwa na hizi maduka za electronics. Kulikuanga na so many to residential kind of, but most of them zilikuanga, ukiangalia stairs hivyo unaona the prostitutes wame line up kwa hizo stairs. And for me, could discover that was, I think, the worst thing, because nilikuwa sometimes natoka Eldoret, I travel all the way to Nairobi, najifanya nakuja kwa sis, my sister in Kariobangi, kumbe nakuja tu napitia Ludhuli. And I remember one time kwa hiyo Ludhuli nimepata drama hii Nairobi mpaka hata sijuangi. Watu uniambia zile vitu nimeona Chris, zile vitu Chris umeona. But I know the others wenye wamepitia pia because of the alcohol. One time nikiwa tu hiyo Ludhuli nimeingia kwa room hivi. Unajua hata si room imegawanyisha na mashits. Huko kuna mtu mwingine, wewe uko hapa. Then kuingia room hivi ati unaenda kutoa trao hivi. Nikasikia kokoko, wewe nini unafanya na bibi yangu? Kumbe ilikuwa scam. Dem na yeye akaanza kujifanya, "Oh sweetie, usimgonge." What? Kasikia nimechapwa slap. Mpaka saa hizo Mjubuleng imesimama ati uko ready. Mjubuleng kwanza ikaanguka. Kamwambia, "Huyu usinipige. Huyu pesa nilikuwa nayo, I think hapa, unajua ukiingia brothel unafichanga pesa hapa." Nikampatia. Kuangalia hivi akaona niko na Sahara mpya. Tulikuwa tumepewa refund mo university ya 8K that time. Akaniambia leta hiyo kiatu. Nilitoka bila kiatu mpaka kwa WM. So that is how the forbidden fruit, that first taste of the alcohol, that first taste of prostitutes now became a bad behavior, a habit. It became an addiction with time. So most people, when they experiment and who progress to addiction, they always have that good feeling. Yes, it might be accompanied by some nasty experience, lakini there is something that first experience, that first taste, that first feeling, it makes you, it kind of fills a certain gap that you had. It kind of fills inajaza a certain vacuum that you had. For me, the low self-esteem and the social anxiety seemed to disappear immediately. And I would become another person, because even my friends, even after campus, they used to ask me, "Chris, ni nini ufanyika, cause boss, tumeanza tu kukunywa and all of a sudden ni kama umechizi, all of a sudden you are all over, hata haujui uko wapi. And what I didn't know at that time was that now my experimentation had progressed to other stages, and by the other stages I moved to social use. Sasa nikaanza kuwa a regular user. But for me the regular use was very the span was very short. Hiyo phase hata sijaikaa hivyo ati nikakunywa nikamaliza ati na mabeshte ama friend ati tukaenda home. Ni rare sana. I think hata it could last a few months. From there, sasa nilianza ile either nikunywa asubuhi, anytime nikiona alcohol, hata nikiambiwa alcohol iko 300 kilometers away, nige walk if there is alcohol there. Kama nigeambiwa maybe kuuza hii glass, nipate alcohol, it got to that point very fast. So for me, after the regular use, it became we went to the risky use or misuse, and then it became dependence, the habitual use, where now the dependence and the tolerance ikaingia. So for me, I became dependent on alcohol maybe within the first 2 years or even within the first year. It was such a quick progression. We say addiction is a progressive disease, but for me it was so quick. I don't even know how big or how severe the underlying issues zilikuwa. So by the grace of God, I was able to complete campus. And after campus, now that's when nilianza kuhaso, nikapata ka job. Ya kwanza ilikuwa Nakuru, then teaching job hapa Gekambura in Kikuyu. But that time the drinking was worse. The Safaricom job came later, and with more money, Jay-Z alisema with more money comes more problems. So it became now the drinking now became even worse. So eventually, hata hiyo job I lost it. Now if you are there and maybe you are struggling with an addiction, any form of addiction, whether it's alcohol, whether it's weed, whether it's mogoka, whether it's even gambling, okay, look at how it started. Look at the progression, because for most people, even when we are doing our counseling sessions, or even when we are doing awareness, utasikianga watu wengi wakisema lakini mimi Chris kunywangi sana. But you look at how it started, how you experimented. We experiment out of curiosity. We experiment because we want of peer pressure. We want to feel that sense of belonging. When you are young, when you are in high school, college, we experiment because our teenage brain has that propensity, yani could try out risky things. That's how experimentation started. If you look at your behavior, how it started, if you look at your addiction, how it started, if you look at the problem you're struggling with, it started somewhere. Now after that, there was a time maybe ulianza kutumia tu, haukuwa na pressure sana. Even if it's bangi, even if it's mogoka, ungechukua mogoka na uende nayo kwa keja, utulize tu. Maybe hata inaweza kaa hapo hata ukumbuke, hata nilikuwa na pombe, hata nilikuwa na mogoka, I even have a joint, sija smoke. Haikuwa a big issue. Hata unaita mabeshte, mnakunywa pombe, ama you go out for birthday parties. You could even stay for days without the alcohol. At that time, wewe ulikuwa una enjoy the social use, sasa ile regular. Ulikuwa mtu social user, haukuwa na any problem. And this applies even for behaviors like gambling, addictive behaviors like gambling. There was a time ulikuwa tu unacheza, hata sometimes you have 10,000 in your account, lakini hauwezi weka. You're like, leo sijisikii, leo sisikii nikiwa na hiyo mood ya kucheza. But now you went on, something happened, and for some reason, it could be some underlying issues. It could be even your personality. It could be genetic predisposition, family history. Maybe for some reason, kwenu mko predisposed to addiction, mko at risk of addiction. So mabeshte wako wao hawakuendelea kukunywa sana. For you, you found yourself unataka hata mkitoka kwa bar unajipata hiyo mzinga haijatosha. So maboys wakienda home, wewe unajikata, unaingia kwa keg, unaitisha kanusu, ama yani unaanza kujificha your friends. and you don't even know the reason. Haujui kwa nini you want to drink some more. So your friends would even ask, Chris, jana kwani ulikunywa tena? Sinasikia ulianguka ukienda home. Unajaribu you lie and eventually you even start avoiding those friends. Now for you, where ume move from the social use sasa, ume progress to another stage. Ume progress to the risky use, ama in more complicated terms tunaita instrumental use. Instrumental use is where you are drinking purposely, either to self-medicate ama as a coping mechanism. That is what we call instrumental behavior. You are doing it because there are consequences. It feels good. Okay, unlike your friends who are just spending some time and they want to watch the Liverpool game and Man U ikichapwa ama Arsenal ikichapwa. For you, there is something more the alcohol is doing. I think if you are really honest with yourself, you can go back to those years. You can remember how quickly it progressed or how it progressed, and then from there, from the instrumental use ama the risky use, ama using now alcohol as a coping mechanism, ikaendelea ikafika place where you used to drink only on Saturdays and maybe Fridays. Now ukajipata nikikosa kunywa any day sisikii poa, you know. So now dependency happened, tolerance happened, so you moved to the habitual use. Habitual use, whether it's alcohol, whether it's bangi, whatever substance that you are using, now this became habitual. And with habitual use, we are talking about dependency, both physiological, mwili yako inahitaji pombe, and also psychological. Unasikia kama mwalimu as a teacher, una feel like siwezi enda kuface huyo principal bila kuchomoa. So sometimes unajipata uko na kapombe kwako kwa hao. Unasikia kijoint kama bangi kwa hao, na wewe umekuwa ukitumia, una feel like lazima nichome ili niweze ku address the students. Kama ni karao, una feel like siwezi hii mambo, acha nichomoe. So hiyo dependence inaanza. Then tolerance also has happened at this point. Okay, you find that ulikuwa una smoke joint moja, unasikia kwa poa. Ulikuwa una smoke, ulikuwa unakunywa ka quarter ama nusu, unaenda home, lakini sasa una feel like in a week unaona unaweza maliza mzinga kama hata 6. That means mzinga every day. Okay, dependence na tolerance iki happen, basically we are in addiction now. Okay, your body, your brain now requires the alcohol for you to function. Yani it may get to a point where now the central nervous system has become accustomed. Yani imezoea whatever substance you are using. If it's a depressant, imezoea kutulizwa. If it's a stimulant, imezoea kuamshwa na the substance you are using. Okay, so there are also withdrawals. You are getting serious withdrawals, severe withdrawals. Una shake ama una sweat asubuhi, unakuwa agitated, sometimes uko too jittery. Boss, kama umefika hapo sasa, hiyo ni stage tunaita habitual. And by that time, you require help. You require actually treatment. You require detox. Basically, you require rehabilitation. Okay, usikuwe in denial. Kama imefika hapo ati mpaka lazima ufiche kapombe hapa asubuhi, umeanza kuficha kapombe kwa cistern, kwa choo, umeanza kuficha kapombe mpaka kwa ceiling ati mama asione ama your husband asione, at that point sasa tuko in addiction. And then kuna zile sasa the last stages, compulsive use. Sasa this is severe addiction where even your liver is affected. Later tutakuwa tunaongea about the stages of liver damage. Liver iko affected, umeanza kunona, tuseme umefutwa job, bibi amepotea. Basically your life has become dysfunctional. Social life, financial life, your physical health, mental health, emotional health. Unajipata kuna time uko na depressive moods, uko down kabisa. Kuna time hata utaki kuona watu, and the only thing that cheers you up ni wakati umekunywa. Umefika place umeanza hata kuuza vitu, umesema mama amekufa, bibi amekufa, mtoto amekufa, uchangiwe na watu wanachanga only to realize hakuna mazishi. Sasa hiyo ni severe addiction, and by that time Najua denial inakuanga very high. Denial hapo inakuanga very high. Mimi sina shida. Chris, mimi naweza kaa hata mwezi. Yes, ulikaa mwezi bila kukunywa, but surprisingly the moment ulikunywa, brain yako inajua ile capacity unakunywanga. So kama ni mzinga, ilikuitisha tu hiyo mzinga. That shows you are just anticipating through all that period. Kuna brain yako ni kama ilikuwa inajua bado utakunywa. So basically kulikuwa na ka trigger. Haukuwa umedeal na the triggers, haukuwa umedeal na the underlying issues. Basically you are still in addiction. Ni venye tu uko in denial. So it doesn't matter kama umekaa 3 months ama 5 months ati hujakunywa then ukunywe. Uko tu the same na yule mtu anakunywanga daily. Because hiyo time utarudia, utabinge na maini yako bado itaumia tu kama yule mtu anakunywa every day. So I was explaining all this using my story to show you how this disease of addiction, because it's a disease. Remember, from the beginning, mi waambia, the moment you stop looking at addiction, alcohol addiction, baggy addiction, mogoka addiction, as a moral issue, the moment you stop looking at it as a moral issue, ati kijana wenu ama msichana kijana wenu ame fail morally, na muiangalia as a medical issue, you'll be able to help your loved one. You'll be able to help your spouse, your brother, your sister, your father, your mother. Mutaweza kumsaidia. Lakini mkiangalia as a moral issue, mtakuwa tu mnaona, wewe ni kanisa uendangi, wewe ukiokoka utanini. Yes, sometimes kuokoka itasaidia. But remember, the brain damage that has happened, that needs to be treated. And that's why unaonanga watu wana struggle hivyo kuacha, because the brain has changed over years, 10 years, 15 years, 20, 30. It's not that easy to change the brain chemistry such that jamaa hadepend tu na bangi, hadepend na sigara, hadepend na pombe. Okay, yeah. So I think that's what I had for today, because I think I've journeyed you through the main stages of addiction, and we started with the forbidden fruit. So saizi najua watu wao wanaenda home for holidays in a week or so, and of course they experiment with a lot of things. They want to experiment hata na prescription drugs, tramadol. Mama anatumia tramadol, ameziweka hapo. Mama anatumia some other painkillers, ameziweka hapo. Mtoi anatumia, anasikia dada anakunywanga mzinga, anaiweka hapo kwa fridge. Mtoi ana experiment. If you really want to protect your kids, please talk to them about how addiction happens. Usiwaambie tu usikunywe pombe, usikunywe bangi, usivute nini. Waambie ukweli. Tell them this and this can happen. Show them, Chris, mwambie venye nimeteseka na hiyo pombe. Show them what can happen. Tell them about your friends who have died because of alcohol. Your cousins, tell them about that. Usiwaambie tu acheni msikunywe pombe. Tell them what can happen. And with that, thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe, share this content. This content needs to be shared. People need to hear this. Comment, talk, ask questions. There are so many of my friends who are addiction counselors, counseling psychologists. They follow me, and I know they can help me answer all these questions. If you are looking for a rehab, talk to me about a rehab. I manage a rehab in Wangige called Resolutions Recovery Center. It's a 3-month program. Just talk to us. If there is no money, just talk to us. We can see how we can help, because we really need a sober society. We need to redeem this society. Otherwise, we will not have the next generation. Thanks for watching. Chris Kemaru signing out. Peace.